So I've been asked to speak about the what, why, and how of entrepreneurship. And I'm going to throw in a little bonus and also talk about the what, why, and how of virtual reality. It's this buzzword that we're hearing a lot these days, right? So I'll also talk about that. But before I begin, I have a quick question for all of you. How many of you are currently following Game of Thrones? Okay, 60, 70%? That's not bad. How many of you have read the books? I'm seeing like 20 hands out of all of the people here. Okay. Well, why do you think that is, right? What is the reason behind people wanting to watch Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and all of these movies or the Game of Thrones series, but not read the books, right? Why is that? Because as a human, the maximum input that we take from our environment is through our eyes and ears. We want to visualize, we want to see, we want to be shown. So rather than reading a 300-page book, if you show it to me in a 1-hour serial, that's something that I'll be more interested in. Now, it's easy to be able to give people numbers, right? So I could tell you, imagine a room which is 200 feet wide by 50 feet with an elevation of about 3 feet towards the north side with doors in the northeast, west, southeast, west corners. It takes you a few minutes to think about it, right? What if I just tell you that's the room we're in right now? That's the power of visualization. And that's something where virtual reality comes in, right? That's why we need virtual reality. Because we want to be shown. You put on a headset. It could start from the Google Cardboard, which is inexpensive. It could go all the way up to the Microsoft HoloLens. You put on a headset and you're shown, you're taken into a different world. Things that are hypothetical suddenly come to life. And that is why we need virtual reality. Imagine if you're trying to design a car, right? A lot of you might be mechanical engineers here. You work with CAD models. Instead of looking at it on a boring 2D computer screen, if it was there in front of you while you were working on it, wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be more interesting? And that's where virtual reality can really help us today. So we've discussed essentially what it is and why we need VR. Now I'll talk to you about how you can create VR for yourselves, right? Now, how many of you here can code in C#? Zero. Why? Because it's not taught here. You didn't bother to go out and learn new technologies, look up other things that are happening today. How many of you know PHP? Nobody. Even though that's one of the most popular languages right now around the world. Open source users use it a lot. Nobody here knows. You'll probably just know what is being taught to you today in your books, right? So to create virtual reality, now none of you here can do it. None of you, in spite of the fact that you're all engineers. Most of you are probably even in CSC and IT, but you cannot. You need to be a coder to be able to create VR. Now that is where my company, Moshi's, has stepped in. We've created a software called Red, with which anybody can start creating VR. Engineers, non-engineers, you do not need to code. You have a software. Think of it like WordPress for VR. Open it and input a 3D model. Immediately you see it in virtual reality. There are a lot of other interactions that you can add to it, but the whole point is we are able to democratize virtual reality consumption by giving access to people like you who can actually now start creating virtual reality on their own. So if you have to do something where you're designing a simple college project or an idea for your product, for your startup, you can start using it and seeing it in virtual reality. And that's something that all of us today should look at. And let's come to the second part now. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Now, before I talk about entrepreneurship, quick question. How many of you want to have startups or dream of having your own startup? Well, everybody, great. Interesting, because 6 years ago when I started up, the tables were turned. There'd probably be 5 hands going up, and the minute they'd see nobody else has a hand up, they'd put it down. We don't want to be the ones who look like idiots. In fact, when I started out, I heard this from a lot of people around me, my peers, my family, my friends. Everybody said, why? Why do you want to do this? Why don't you just take up one of these ITES jobs, get a good salary, wait a few years, and then think about it? Why do you want to do it right now? I mean, I was actually considered naive and stupid, and I think it is still quite stupid to start up. Because at the end of the day, you need to know what you're getting into. I think a lot of you here must be thinking, startups. The minute you think about startup, you're thinking about Facebook, you're thinking about Book My Show, you're thinking about all these fancy names, Twitter. But have you considered all of the effort, the blood, sweat, tears, hard work that goes behind it. One of the Twitter founders actually said this, that for every overnight success, there are 10 years of all of this that people have overlooked. It doesn't happen like this. For today, for all of us here, for our generation, we want everything quickly. There's an app to get food at home, there's an app to go and meet friends wherever, there's an app to book movie tickets, there's an app to get a cab to your doorstep, there's an app for everything. And we're used to this, we're used to quick results. But that's not how you can start up and sustain a startup. A lot of us here might be thinking, oh, I'll start up this year, I'll raise money by the end of the year, I'll be able to sell it by the next year, get out with good money. Nobody actually thinks about starting up to create a sustainable business. Startups are not a business anymore. They're more like a gigantic Ponzi scheme where you think, okay, fine, who else can we fool next? And then get that person involved to fool the next person. But that's not what this is about, right? That's not what having a startup is about. If you think this way, then you will be part of that 95% statistic of startups closing within the first 3 years. And what have you actually gotten out of it? It's not going to work like that. You don't just raise money like this, and then you can't just exit just like that. That's not what starting up is about. There's a simple analogy that I want to give you. Think about driving a car. You have to go on a trip, right? Now, you need enough fuel to make the trip, to actually make that trip. If you don't have enough fuel, you can't make the trip. But that does not mean that your trip is all about doing rounds of petrol pumps. That's not what your startup is about, right? It's this exact same logic. We know that having a startup is being an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurship is starting your own company, taking it to whatever level. But I like to think that entrepreneurship is more about just starting a company. I like to think that entrepreneurship is a way of life. Now, I'll tell you what I mean. I think my mother is an entrepreneur. She's a homemaker. But every day she has to take hard decisions. Whatever the decision might be, she has to take it. She has to manage so many different problems, come up with innovative solutions to all of them. She has to take initiative to be able to start thinking in a certain way or do certain things or fulfill her duties. And all of these are entrepreneurial traits. You think today, all of you are here, sitting here today right now. You could have been doing something else, right? You could have gone to the theater to watch a movie. You could have been out hanging around on the campus. You could have been doing anything, but you're here. Because you've taken that initiative to be here, to listen to some people come and share their experiences and make a difference to your lives. A lot of you here might have become part of the TEP program that ISB is offering, the virtual program. That's you taking initiative. And I think that is entrepreneurial. That makes all of you right now, without starting a company, entrepreneurs. Because you've actually gone there and done that. And that's not easy. And with that comes a lot of patience. Now, there are a lot of things, like I was saying earlier, that you constantly want to get things quickly, the tip of your fingertips. So I think that the most important thing for you to be an entrepreneur, whether it's in a job, whether it's starting a company, it's to have patience. We set all of these goals for ourselves, which are age-related, By 23, I want to have, a 7-figure salary. By 25, I should be married. 27, I should have 3 kids. By 30, I should be a millionaire. I mean, all of these goals that we set for ourselves, because there are these numbers in our minds, especially the 30 number for the young generation, right? After you cross 30, suddenly end of the world. We've not achieved anything. Look at where our friends are. But why are we setting these kind of age-related goals for ourselves? Is it because somebody has told us that? Is it our warped perception of age? Is age just a number or not? Why are we doing this to ourselves? If this is a rat race, if you're so busy with these age-related goals, where is the time for entrepreneurship? Where is the time to think? Where is the time to do anything? Now, our education system today has pretty much stamped out innovation. Pretty much has, right? We had expected, especially in this state. I mean, I'm from Kolkata originally, and my school timings were 8 a.m. to 1:20 p.m. And I did quite well. I was an ICS and ISC, and I was above 85% in both. And I hardly ever studied beyond school hours. Today, I see kids, starting from 6 a.m. in the morning, going up to 8 p.m. at night, and they're just drilling and drilling and drilling stuff inside their minds. I don't know how much comes out. But what that actually does result in is stamping out all creative thought. You're not even allowed time to think. And that's the biggest problem we have today. We're not thinking at all. And if you can't think, how do you innovate? If you can't innovate, how can you be entrepreneurial? All of us today, when we are sitting here, if I ask you, what are the top 3 career choices that you have, or what are the 5 things you could do, or if I don't give a number, I just ask you, what are the things you could do? Some of you might tell me 3 things, 5 things, even 10 things. What about more than that? It's so easy for us to think about the A, B, C, that these three things are what I can do because my seniors have done it, because I read a little bit in the newspaper, because somebody has told me. How many of us actually explored beyond the C? That there is a C to Z out there, that there could be beyond Z also. How many of us removed that box? For most of us women here, and I'm glad I'm seeing so many women here, it's so easy for us to be able to think that after this, I could get married, or that's basically what's going to happen to me, may or may not keep a job. Maybe I get a job for a couple of years, God knows what happens after that. But how many of us are allowing ourselves to dream beyond that? Somebody has told us that there's no point, because anyways this will happen. Look at me, I am a Marwadi woman, and in our community, I don't know how many of you here know, but women are married off at as soon as they finish schooling, 18, 19, 20, very early. And we have a very, very fixed life path set for us too. I'm the first engineer in my family. Yeah, in Kolkata, everybody's not an engineer. So yeah, I'm the first engineer in my family. And I'm the first one who decided to start up. And I'm also probably going to set a Guinness Book of World Record in being the oldest unmarried Marwadi woman, because that's my choice. Because not because somebody told me you need to do this or don't need to do this. It's because this is what I've chosen for now. That doesn't mean I have anything against any life choices you make. That doesn't make starting up or not starting up right or wrong. It's just you need to figure out for yourselves what is it that you want, which is coming from inside, not because your best friend is doing it or because your dad has told you. I mean, today, if you think about it, the one person who knows everything about us, all of our good, all of our bad, who knows all the nasty things to tell us at the worst times and all the best things to tell us at the best times is we ourselves, right? Your best friend, your mother, your girlfriend, boyfriend, nobody will know about you as much as you know yourself. So I don't know if any of you have seen that recent Konkana Sen Sharma ad, which has been doing the rounds. Has anybody seen it? Where she talks about giving time to yourself, and she says, if you don't, then who will? If not you, then who? And we come down to think about this very basic thing in all of us, our individual potential. I was actually quite lucky when I started out. I was pressured into going for a job interview and all of that right after college. And during one of the interviews I was at, my technical interviewer, who I had spoken to for about 10 minutes, suddenly he tells me, don't take this job, you'll waste yourself. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's this guy, I've never met him before. I just spent a little bit of time with him. And he's seeing something in me that I have not seen, that my peers have not seen, that my friends, my teachers, my family, nobody's seen. And that moment I realized that there was something in me that wanted to come out, that there is this fire, that there is this thing that I can stoke myself. It's only up to me to be able to stoke that fire. And it's me who can actually decide what to do next in life. How many of us have that opportunity that somebody comes and tells us, this is your potential, you need to follow this? No, it's our responsibility to do that, right? And if you think that just starting up, because now it's the cool thing, because everybody's starting up, is how you will get to the next level. If you're doing it only because it's good to do, or if everybody else is doing it, don't do it. Don't do it. You need to know what you're getting into. You can be entrepreneurial in anything you do in life. If you're a teacher, if you're a scientist, if you're in a job, you can innovate every day. Change starts from yourself, right? And that's how you can go ahead and, like Steve Jobs says, make a dent in the universe. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen unless you're able to actually begin thinking about it from within you. So I've pretty much wrapped up. That's fine. I've wrapped up. No more GAN for you today. I think there's enough that's gone in. Now we need to sort of spend time in thinking about all the various things we've heard from all of these people and really figuring out, again, what we want to do. I would say treat it like the human digestive system treats food. Take in all the good stuff, eject out all the shit. That's what you need to do, and that's your responsibility. So opening up to Q&A now. Any questions? See, this is also entrepreneurial. You take the initiative to put your hand up, because I can't believe that you don't have questions. You're just waiting for the first person to do it. And there's one there. Well, please clap for him. He's the first one to raise his hand and take the initiative. So in the interim, let me quickly tell you that I was actually featured in today's Hyderabad Chronicle. So those of you who still read newspapers, please go read up a little bit about virtual reality and what we are doing with my company. Yes.
Very good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Hemant from IRE, and your speech was really interesting. One doubt which I have was, you mentioned that up to this age limit, up to 35 years, up to 30, it's the end. We should not think like that. In one point of view, I heard some people telling that this is a bit useful for you, it might help in some times. At what times will that type of thinking help, and at what times it is going to harm us? Means, is it putting a time limit for our goals? How important is it? Or should we put it, or we should not put it, or how we should go? That I'm confused.
See, for this again, I'll tell you, you might hear something from me, my point of view. You might hear something from someone else. These are all perspectives. At the end of the day, and this is what Hinduism actually tells us, very interesting point. The whole point of a debate is not to prove what is right or what is wrong. It's to expand the collective consciousness. So you need to think about it yourself. Does setting a time-related goal help you? And if you're setting it, why are you setting it? Why have you thought of the number 25? Or why have you thought of the number 30? Is it because everybody is telling you to do that? Is there an actual rationing behind it? Something logical behind it? Now, I'll give you a quick example from my own life, right? I had thought long time ago that after engineering or whatever I end up doing my graduation in, I'll do an MBA for a couple of years and then something else next year, right? I didn't do an MBA because I couldn't afford it. Neither the time nor the money. But then something else came up for me. I did a very interesting program from ISB called the Goldman Sachs Women Entrepreneurs Program, which Goldman Sachs sponsors. I also got the opportunity to do something from Stanford GSB, which was great for me, right? So they're not an MBA, but they were like sort of mini crash courses in what I needed to hear at that point of time in my business. And that happened. And it happened beyond my setting these goals which were age-related or time-related. So at the end of the day, there's always a door of opportunity around you. You need to look for it and make sure you walk through it. But think about it yourself. What works for you? Not for the next person, for you. Yeah. Women, please ask questions. Any woman? Please get up, speak up. You're as part of the crowd and you have as many questions as anybody else would. Anybody? You can ask, it can be stupid. You know, like Sir said, you need to be
Excuse
shameless.
me. Ma'am, I'm not a woman, I'm sorry. And
Don't apologize to me, coincidence.
what was the name of your company again?
Mercius. MERXIUS.
And
look us up.
did you ever watch TED Ed videos?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
TED Ed videos. Did you ever watch any of them?
Did I ever watch any of TEDx?
Yeah.
I actually gave a TEDx speech 2 weeks ago. It should be up soon on YouTube.
So I want to... Sorry. So I want to know a few things. I had seen many tunes being displayed in one of the speeches. Will your company help me create those tunes that you use in your videos and all?
Will my company help you in?
Creating those tunes, animation and all.
So I don't know what tools you're talking about, but if you have the initiative, please apply for an internship.
Almost all of the TED Ed
out.
videos have some pictorial tunes to display the idea.
To display the video.
Just show it.
Idea, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what exactly does your company do? That's it.
So you can look us up on Google. I don't think this is the platform I should talk about it, but since you're giving me the opportunity, my company is an augmented and virtual reality company. We've been around for 6 years. We won the Aegis Graham Bell Award for innovation twice. We've been in the IBM top 10 deep tech companies in India. Vogue magazine has put us in the top 10 companies in India working on technology. And we have created a product, uses virtual reality, with which anybody can create VR on their own. Like I was saying earlier, no need to code, just a drag and drop button-based interface. You can create virtual reality on your own. So essentially, we have a software called Red. Look us up. A lot of interesting things that you can do with it. Okay. Anybody else?
Me, I'm there.
Yes, thank you.
I would like to ask you, like, what is the, if you feel, what is the mistake that you have did while you have had your startup in the beginning?
What were the what in the beginning?
Your mistakes.
My message.
Yeah. Not message, mistakes. Like, have you done any mistakes when you were in a startup age, like beginning in the startup? Failures of your startup?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Have I done any what? Mistakes.
Yeah.
Is that a rhetorical question? Because Obviously.
I would like.
I'm here because of the sum total of all the learnings we've had, which includes mistakes. In fact, like I was saying, when I started out, we were completely naive. We didn't know anything. We didn't know what we were getting into. And the fact that we've survived so long and learned all of the things that we have, today you have the ecosystem where you have hackathons, where you have places you can pitch your idea, where people will give you feedback. That's amazing. That's what you need. When we started out, I think the 3 things we missed out on were money, a good mentor, and a good deal of masochism. You need to be masochistic if you want to start up. You have to be ready to take on all of those challenges, and definitely there are a lot of mistakes. So, like I said earlier, the whole point of any journey is that you take decisions. Whether they're good, they're bad, whether, whatever they turn out to be, time will tell, but it's your experience and how you're actually able to make that decision at the right time and what you learn from it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great, so I'm done here. No other questions. Thank you so much.